When my grandmother immigrated to America in 1956, there were 1 million Asian Americans living in the United States. Now, the country is home to about 20 million Asian Americans, but as the Asian American population grew, so did racist perceptions. Ever since Asians began a mass wave of immigration in the 1800s, they've been depicted as diseased, yellow-skinned foreigners, images that have increased in light of the COVID-19 pandemic. But what makes Asian Americans so ostracized?
I was born in Hong Kong. I came here when I was 3 years old, and my family immigrated here for the same reason most families immigrate to America, which is to seek better economic opportunities.
However, cultural differences have often estranged immigrants from the rest of society. Many often assimilate or adopt Western customs to fit in.
We tend to think of cultural identity as something that's fixed, which isn't, and Westernization or assimilation as a loosening or shedding of cultural identity. Historically, it's the minority population that have had to do the hard work of assimilating to the values of the majority.
Still, cultural divides inhibit many from seeing beyond this perpetual foreigner stereotype, which is only reinforced by the media.
I think the root cause of xenophobia and racism towards Asians and Asian Americans is a great poverty and failure of the imagination. By that I mean high art, popular art, media, movies, advertisements, the fashion industry, the list goes on.
From the model minority standard to the dragon lady trope, these portrayals have formed a limited view of Asian Americans.
They have a very thick accent. They are subservient, obsequious, inscrutable. They all live in Chinatown, or they're extras in the background.
During the pandemic, former President Trump's referral to COVID-19 as the China virus has only increased the animosity toward all Asian Americans, not just those of Chinese descent. Oftentimes, the term Chinese lumps together many ethnic groups with the assumption that all Asians look alike.
The China virus.
Chinese virus.
The Chinese virus. Kung flu.
Context matters. Historically, there's been a stereotype of Asians being dirty, vermin-like, subhuman. So when you throw in the terms and connect them, China with virus is not a descriptor anymore. It becomes a very loaded and racially charged term.
The disturbing surge of racist attacks against Asian Americans.
In New York City alone, jumped by 1,900% in the last year.
My reaction to the uptick of anti-Asian hate crimes, anger, disgust, fear, sadness. But I think the saddest reaction of all would be that it was predictable.
Aside from physical violence, Asian Americans regularly face microaggressions, such as others mocking their eyes or dialect. While often passed off as teasing, these actions are not harmless, but rather a form of estrangement, which eventually incites violence.
Well, first, I don't think you can ever eradicate hate crimes because you can never fully eradicate racism.
We need to actively discuss discrimination in America. Prejudices against Asian Americans did not end after the Webb-Haney Act of 1913, which prohibited aliens, or Asian Americans, from owning agricultural land in California. Reparations for the Japanese internment camps of World War II did not solve the lasting suspicion of Japanese people. Chinatowns in America, now popular tourist sites, were historically created to isolate and separate Chinese immigrants from American society.
The novelist Richard Wright once said that Black America and white America are engaged in a struggle over the description of reality. One way we can help with anti-Asian sentiment and xenophobia in America is if more Asians are allowed in levers of power that affect change in politics and also in culture. So right now, it's the struggle mainly of black and white America seated at the table, engaged in conversation, in the heated debate about who gets to write the narrative, who gets to tell the story of America. Maybe it's time Asians should also have a seat at the table and help in writing that narrative.